What up, gamers? I'm Jason, and we are back finally with another episode of Kickstarter Excess for Value. It's been a couple months. There's been a lot of crazy things going on in the board game and crowdfunding space. We haven't had too many games that we wanted to talk about, so don't worry, we're going to dive into where we were first. But for those of you that are new to the channel, wondering why we're doing a state of crowdfunding part 2, well, you should go see part 1, then check this out. But I'm going to let our regular host introduce themselves in case you've never seen their great content, so you know where to find them.
Hi, everybody. It's Rob and
Anna Marie
from the Meeple Dungeon. We're out here in Kelowna, BC. You can find us on Twitter at Meeple Dungeon, YouTube, the Meeple Dungeon, and our podcast is on all the major podcasting sites, the Meeple Dungeon podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Check them out. And hey, folks, I'm Ryan from Mista Rau Gaming, and you can find me in YouTube land. I'm going live, doing playthroughs, solo, and with friends. Just getting back into the game after a little bit of a hiatus there, but I'm hopping right back in once a week on Tuesdays, hopefully to get that in the 2 times a week thing again. Working my way up again. I'm still figuring in all the things. It's like hopping on a bike almost. I need to get the training wheels back on first before we get going. But hey, it's great to be back. Thanks for having us on again, Jason.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We've been talking and flirting with the idea of doing another one of these, but it just actually hadn't come together. I think there's a fairly good reason for that. I mean, if you watched our first video on the state of crowdfunding, you know that none of us were as keen on it as we were before. I don't think there was that many campaigns that I think had all of us here pretty much jazzed up to talk about and, get on here, discuss it with our viewers and give our thoughts and opinions on. But I'm sure we've been back in some games, and then we're going to dive into a little bit more what's going on with crowdfunding and maybe why we haven't backed as many as we did in 2022. So Rob, Anna Marie, Ryan, whoever wants to start, go right ahead.
Sure, we'll talk here for a second. We've been really busy lately. So the fact that we're doing this video now is exciting for us because it's been just crazy for us. Our kids are in sports all the time.
Enough said, really.
We both coach different sports. She does baseball with one boy. I do football with the other boy. And then they have soccer in between there as well.
Which neither of us coach because I know nothing about
because I don't know anything about soccer. It's been a wild ride, like really since September of 2022.
Yeah, we thought after hockey was done, we might get a break, but it just turned out to be just as, if not more busy. So summer will be fun.
Has been gone, and every night after work except for Wednesdays, I think was our one reprieve day, and then we try to do our own podcast in there somewhere, which has also been suffering because of that. But the light is at the end of the tunnel here now, because we have, I think, 2 weeks left of kid sports, and then we have the summer of nothing going on, so we are going to be right back in full steam ahead into content creation and then joining these fellows to do this more often and so forth. But yeah, we've been crazy busy, as has Ryan. So let's hear about it, Ryan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hear you, because we also have only 2 weeks of sports left over. We have, because we've been going through the soccer thing and gymnastics season. So once everything's settled down, cool, we're on a back way. I went on a little bit of a hiatus. I had a little bit of a health issues and health scare there for a little while. So I went full stopped everything. Things are starting to look up though. I'm starting to feel really good again. I just did a live stream just this past week. I'm going to be doing another one coming up here on Tuesday. Everything's looking good. Everything like that. If you see me just pull off this ear, really my condition thing is something with my ear. So having headphones on actually amplifies the the thing. So every now and then I just kind of pull off one of these and everything like that. But hey,
we're glad you're back.
I get it. I'm glad to be back too, because I was driving me nuts not being able to talk about and play games and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we've been worried about you, and we're happy to have you back and glad that everything is going a lot better. So hopefully you're going to be at 100% soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for those that follow our channel, you know that Julie and I have made the decision to pull back a little bit. We were producing about 3 videos a week, and just much like everyone else, we have a family. We've got a little guy. Does not let us get in nearly as much playtime than just keeping that pace up is just kind of not realistic. I mean, we love to play our big campaign games. We're not getting those played nearly as much. We've got review copies. We're working on getting through the review copies. But when you've got a kid that likes to go to bed at 9 p.m., it really doesn't mean you're going to get a nice, complicated game played. Also, with things opening back up, Julie's traveling more. I'm traveling more just for different events. So we also, it was F1 weekend in Montreal. So she was at the track. I was at the track. We're just trying to enjoy ourselves. And that's really changed things up a bit because we don't have our weekday gaming time as much. So a little bit less content, but we're still going to be doing these videos whenever we can, and try to get up maybe to about two videos a week again in the near future. Now, what have we been backing? Right? Yeah, content. But I'd rather do one video of good content than 3 videos of so-so content. Or if I got to do so-so content, I'd rather be honest, be like, hey, we were doing lots of fun stuff, but here's a video for those of you that really want a video.
Right? I like it.
Perfect.
Exactly. So what's everyone been backing? What are the games that we almost talked about? What are the games that you've backed? And what are the games you thought we just shouldn't talk about on this show?
Well, for us, we've backed, I think 4 things since we last talked, but none of which I would say was like something we needed to talk about as far as excess or value, because they're kind of on the smaller end of things and kind of, pretty obviously like, not excess or value, just kind of like right on point, So one of them was the Endeavor Deep Sea from Age of Gaming. We got that on GameFound, and it just looked like an intriguing theme to me. As soon as I see anything underwater, submarines, whatever, I just like it. And then I heard through, I believe you, Ryan, or it was Norm, whoever, that this was based off of, I guess, the Endeavor. Is a game from years back, but had a kind of a crappy theme on it. Something like just like
I think
just untasteful or something.
I think it had like the Civilization where you were like conquering peoples and things.
It was
like
something,
that. And it didn't seem like a very, I don't know. We just heard that it wasn't the greatest theme, but
I heard it was an awesome
great game.
Like as far as mechanics went. So then I guess they've rethemed it, or like maybe not rethemed it, but just kind of improved upon it maybe here with this Wicked theme.
And Robbie's very much a theme-based player, so
extremely.
if the theme is good, he's kind of like, it just holds his attention better.
Yeah, so we backed that one, and that was I think that was a couple months ago that we backed that one. And the other one we backed was actually a recommendation from Norm as well of a game that had been not available like out of print for a while, and that was Pavlov's House, and that's from the David Thompson collection. And there was 3 games available to back in this one. This one was again on GameFound, but we only went with the one. He had 2 other games, I guess, of his that were out of print, but this was the one I really wanted because they were not on the cheap end. So we went with just the one, and I'm really excited for that one. It's a historical event from World War II where some soldiers get held up in what was called Pavlov's House, where this little small band of soldiers kind of hold off a huge force from taking a certain area just by using this house as their kind of base, I guess. And it sounds amazing. So, and I love World War II. I love anything to do with that. So this sounded really cool to me, and you as well. But that one on GameFound, and then we got 2 on Kickstarter. One of
the
which,
one that was 4 different card games.
This one here
it's Pies, Mori, Lunar, and Bacon. So it was 4 different card games.
Small trick taking.
Yeah, they're all trick taking card games too. So I thought that was kind of neat having different themes or 4 different types of trick taking games in one campaign. I thought that was kind of neat because they all have to be varied and different, and
that's from boardgametables.com, who do a ton of these type of games, and they've never disappointed us before. So these 4 games are likely to be home runs for us when it comes to trick taking and card games. We love that. So with 4 really weird themes, like one is called Bacon, right? And right. So like, I don't know, they sound awesome either way. And then there was one more that we did, and this one was really on my end of things. So this is called Galactic Renaissance. This is from Madigo, and this is from the designer of Inish. And Inish is one of my personal favorite games, like I think criminally underrated. And it's like a space opera, political game.
Galactic Renaissance, not Inish.
Yes, not Inish. Let's get that straight. But Galactic Renaissance, it's from the same designer as Inish, and Inish just was one of the games that has blown me away. Like from a first impression standpoint, that game is like top of my list from like first plays ever to today wanting me to play it again because of that first interaction with the game. And so this one was a slam dunk for us. Had to get it, have to see what it's all about. It looks bigger, grander than Inish, kind of like, not that it is Eclipse, but it's kind of got like that kind of presence on the table, lots of political things going on and spaceships and planets and all things, these things that you can imagine. And so those are the 4 things that we've backed lately.
Wow.
Ryan, what about you?
So nothing really huge or big. I got a few smaller projects. I had to actually look into this and see if I actually did back anything since our last conversation. And I actually did.
All right.
AEG Games did their Point City and Deep Dive campaign. So they're 2 little small box games. I usually pledge and buy anything that AEG is putting out these days. So I got a demo of both of those games at Terminal City that Rob and Anna Marie managed to miss out on, that I'll throw that out of there every now and then that I get a chance to get. Daniel Winter from the Board Game Feast, he was demoing those games there. And so I managed to grab the campaign went live the next day, I think, after I came home. So I had backed those. The other one that I backed was the co-op expansion, solo co-op expansion for Unmatched. The Unmatched Adventures, Tales to Amaze. I know that I could probably pick this up in retail, but you know what? The backing it on Kickstarter got you some exclusive figures to replace a lot of the tokens that they were doing. So
I am so happy you did not want to discuss that, because solo co-op Unmatched would just be like the thing to be like, I have none of it. I now must own all of it.
Well, the only Unmatched that I own are the Marvel ones just over my shoulder here. I own all 4 so far, soon to be 5 Marvel Unmatched sets. They are absolutely. Speaking of solo co-op experiences, I backed the Santorini co-op, the Riddles of the Sphinx expansion. They did have like a brand new Pantheon Super Deluxe big box edition. I didn't get that part because I already own everything Santorini. I just wanted the co-op solo expansion set, so I just backed for that. And then the latest Astronauts series game came out on Kickstarter, and I have been loving Astronauts, the original one. I had to go in for this one. I didn't get any of the play mats or anything like that. I just wanted just the content, because I actually didn't like the play mats. The play mats really distracted from the gameplay experience in my opinion. So I didn't get any of that stuff. Just got the content, and I'm going to love it.
Right on.
Awesome.
So I got my Astronauts because we're so busy. It's still sitting on my shelf with the nice new Aeon's End, the end of Aeon's End expansion there as well, which hopefully we'll get to sometime before the end of this year. But thanks for reminding me, Rob. I did back 3 things. I don't remember what the pledge level was, but I did also get the Astronauts expansion. Ju and I love Aeon's End. It is like our probably deck builder of choice. It's the one that we both love. So it's pretty much no-brainer that we're getting Astronauts. I told her it was Aeon's End in space. She was like, "I better buy that because," and she loves the playmats that come with it. So playmats are a must. So we have those, and we're definitely getting all that in the expansion. Now, I accidentally fully pledged all the way for the Assassin's Creed expansion. I was only going to do $1, and I forgot to lower my pledge. I'm not as upset because it is a local Montreal company. So
nice.
And it is in Canadian, so I know exactly what I'm paying, and they do local pickup. So I do not have to pay shipping, so it's not like I'm going to have any surprises at the end of this. There's not going to be a bunch of add-ons, other funny things. So it's more like I was going to probably go in, just kind of trying to hold off, but it's already paid for. And then
meant to be.
Probably the one game that we were going to discuss, but for whatever reason, Simon has started to do much shorter campaigns than they used to. They're running about 14 days now, and we had a couple of snafus, and we were going to talk about Zombicide White Death. Now, for those of you that follow the channel, know that one of Julie's favorite games is Zombicide, and feel however you want about it, but it is one of the most accessible beer and pretzel games with a fantastic table presence. Her favorite is fantasy. What can I say when fantasy's got a little bit of Game of Thrones thrown in now to it, and then you throw in a little bit of Turtles in Time? I'm a sucker for that. I'm definitely going to be getting all of that content because we just really enjoy Zombicide, and it's going to be easy for us to play with our little guy as he gets older. So that accessibility is one of the things that is becoming something that we're considering. I mean, if you watched our most recent review of Hero Quest, where both Julie and I kind of said, hey, this game is dated, but it's in the collection because our 4 or 5-year-olds might be able to actually play this with us because of how simple it is. So it has its ups, but definitely not something we're going to be playing on a regular basis. So there you have it. You kind of see where we're at, and we maybe had really only one campaign to talk about in the last 3 months. And I mean, we're going to dive into sort of the state of crowdfunding.
I have a confession. I just went over onto GameFound, and I did back one project on GameFound.
Oh, I was just looking at GameFound, Ryan, and there's one that I want to back.
Not while we were seeing it. I did back one way back on. Oh, I can't even see when did I actually fill this in. Okay, wait, never mind. This isn't a brand new one. This one was late last year. Never mind. It wasn't recent. It wasn't recent.
Well, you got me all curious now. Which one was it?
It was the new Tainted Grail stuff.
Oh,
right.
okay.
Yeah.
That was late. That was late. That was late 2022. It says here. Yeah. Never mind. So no, nothing new on GameFound. Okay. State of crowdfunding.
Jason?
Oh, we might have.
Oh, no, I'm still here. I was just looking. I was like, oh, you know what, Ryan? I think I actually missed Astronight's Eternity. I'm going to have to late pledge that when it comes up. So,
dang.
Well, I kind of was protesting that a little bit because I got the game. And I think a week, like 2 days later, the thing went live. So I just had no time. I think it was one of the things that I'll get to it, but I just completely forgot about it. So it is on my list. You better message me when Late Pledge goes live.
I will do so now that I know that.
Because I'll be very disappointed if I miss it. Now, we talked about a little bit, not in a lot of detail, some of the stuff that was happening with Mythic games. Now, one of the reasons we're doing the State of Crowdfunding video, part 2, is things have gotten a lot worse when it comes to Mythic games. And one of the things I've seen going around on Reddit and some other places is people are talking about just how a lot of times tabletop gaming projects are successful. They fund, there's thousands of them that get funded every year on Kickstarter. Now, importantly to note, that number includes all tabletop gaming projects, from a $50 STI mini thing where you're paying a guy a couple bucks for these mini files. It's on Kickstarter. He maybe gets a couple $100. It's really easy for it to hit the plateau. People that are doing digital only rewards. I'm very curious to see what the percentage is in terms of like delays, issues, problems when we're talking about physical board game Kickstarters. And I'd like to see how many physical board game and card game Kickstarters don't fund. I think that would be a much more interesting stuff than just taking the whole tabletop games category, saying, hey, we fund thousands of projects, because the project could be $50 to $2 million. There's really no correlation as to what you're looking at. Mm-hmm. And then, so just want to be clear on that, because I think that's a little bit of misinformation going around in terms of like what actually fails, what actually are the risks to consumers. So, Rob, you got burned on 6 Under Siege, but that is the project that Mythic is trying to get out. I somehow managed to move out of the way of this train wreck at the last moment when it comes to the overall situation with Mythic, but got us caught up in the story of what's going on and how you're feeling about the whole thing.
It's not like totally under yet, is it?
No.
Okay, so there's still hope.
maybe
There's a
for
chance.
Under Siege.
Yeah,
Maybe
but not for
one
us.
game or two.
Not for us.
What do you mean?
So-
we're just losers
where-
in this whole situation here.
This is where Jason inserts a clip from Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah.
I know there's no chance on our side here.
Okay.
It's far gone because I finished it myself.
Oh, what?
So Six Siege, we backed Six Siege on, can you believe it was July 1st, 2021. So that's 2 years ago, like now, right? So, and what was it, back in a month and a half ago, 5 weeks ago or so, that they announced like all this hardship, all these excuses for all sorts of things, that their shipping was going through the roof, and this was going through the roof, and that was all this stuff. But we know that there's all this stuff going in behind the scenes on their whole company, where they're trying to use one campaign to pay for the next and so forth. And they're in this like spiral of death when it comes to trying to afford to actually make these games that they're putting out here. Alla, what's that one called? The one prior to, or no, it just came out after Six Siege, Devil Doom or something. I don't know. But
Darkest Dungeon?
Darkest Dungeon. I think that's it. Yeah.
So Ryan, why don't you go ahead and pop up the Six Siege so we have some background in case Rob wants to dive into the comments. Now, for those of you that expect this to be a PG show, I cannot guarantee any comments shown on the screen will be PG because there is no rating system on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Was that on Kickstarter or was that on gamefound?
It was Kickstarter.
It was Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
And so they decided to do something called the contribution. And what is the contribution? They're basically asking us, if you want to get a copy of the game, you need to pay more money. And it's like, okay, how much is that going to be? Because I've heard of this happening before, and and sometimes I would agree that, maybe it is worthwhile. But the game that we bought out the gate was, I think it was $100 for the version that we bought. And they asked for this contribution on top of it. So can you go down to the pledges here, Ryan, just down a little bit? So 69, that was the one we got.
Yeah, so $100 Canadian.
Yeah.
Yes. And then what they're asking for in an email that we received was us to our contribution, quote unquote, to make this game actually happen. And it was no less than $100 American.
Wow.
To make this game happen, which doubles the price of this game.
More than.
Well, yeah, I know, but including shipping and so forth. But $100 contribution is what they were asking for us in our pledge. And I said,
delivery last year.
Yeah, and here we are this year, right? So swing and a miss. And I absolutely said no. I just said no, and I emailed them and I said, I want a refund. And I understand I probably won't get our money back. If we do, it'll be ages from now. But I was like, no way. I'm not going to fall for this. And
so did we cancel our pledge?
No, we can't cancel the pledge. You can just ask for a refund.
Okay.
So I emailed their customer service people, and they had an automatic reply that came back to me saying, "You are, we got your thing. Here's your ticket for your refund." They're like number 1,012,000 or something, and I'm like, okay. And so I don't expect to see that anytime soon. But yeah, Mythic has really dropped the ball here and has made us never back a couple of people. Because this is ridiculous. I'm not doing it. I'm just I don't even think they're going to be a company in Probably not. That's probably, I'll never see the money, right? Then we'll never see the money. I really doubt it. But luckily we didn't, do any of these huge pledges for this game because those, I think the next pledge down, it was like 130 American or something for the contribution.
Oh, the contributions went up too.
And the contributions, depending on the level of thing that you bought, you had to pay X for your contribution, and it was ugly.
Yeah, the contribution is really when Mythic started taking a beating in terms of what they were asking. Was this decision with Six Siege because all the focus has been on Darkest Dungeon, and look, I mean, they did have some shipping problems. Lots of companies had shipping problems, but it's one of those things where and I'm going to take an unpopular stance here, where I fully believe that when it came to the original issues with Darkest Dungeon, the moment Mythic knew about it, they should have just charged everyone a reasonable amount across the board and got it done for maybe $20-$30. People are going to freak out over $20-$30. Well, you're talking about your couple $100 pledge. Doesn't seem that bad to me. But what you're talking about now with Six Siege, it's just kind of reprehensible. It's basically saying pay more than what you originally paid for the game to get your game. And it's pretty much, you're actually better off washing your hands of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. I'll just wash my hands of it. It almost feels like theft
at this point. Like, this is the issue with Kickstarter and crowdfunding. It's like, what are they doing with this? Are they just going to charge a high contribution to get enough people to wash their hands of it? And then they go, oh, sorry, we're going to cancel Six Siege, and then we're going to do something. I would love to know if someone had gone Ubisoft involved, because this just looks like awful for them.
Is the latest update? We had an update on the 9th of June, and keep just showing
updates, Ryan. Let's see if we can.
They keep showing pictures of like, this is what's happening in the factories, and here's some, it's all happening and stuff. But I just don't believe it. I still think people are going to do their contribution. They say that they had to reach a certain level of money through the contributions, I believe, to even continue with the campaign. And then they said, we reached that threshold number, and we're going to continue with the campaign. For those of you who did make the contributions, but I still don't believe that this is actually going to happen, because I feel like some of the photos I've seen on some of the updates I've seen in prior updates. So it's like I don't know.
So if the people,
I think this will happen for one reason: Ubisoft. I don't think Ubisoft wants the egg on their face. They're a big enough company with big enough coffers that probably the amount needed to get this out to the door to backers, and then get the game and own the game, the design, and be able to give it to somebody else is probably something that they could afford to pay fairly easily.
Yeah, potentially, but they're not getting my $100.
So then you asked for a refund in the email.
Yep.
But what about people who just maybe don't check their emails or their updates and didn't get it? What happens if the thing goes through, but they weren't one of the people who contributed?
They're going to make the game and sell it. They're just going to make the print run. They may try to reach out to you, then they'll sell it for profit.
Yeah, they may or may not try to reach out to you, because I believe they've already done their due diligence, as far as I can tell. With they had 2 or 3 emails regarding this whole thing, and they're even saying, like, in case you missed the last one, like, here's your link to click on here to make your contribution. I'm like, get out of here. Not happening. And it's went straight to their, I went on the message board there and I typed in, I'm like, how do I even handle this? And everyone's like, just email this. You're going to be one in the queue of 7 zillion people that are trying to get a refund. So just sit back and wait. But
delivery to your home starts in 133 days.
Well, I'm looking at the product. It says production started June 5th. Production ends September. Ready to ship September.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
First ship arrives October 23.
Yeah.
Ready for delivery. Ready for delivery on October 30th. What the hell?
Yeah, not a chance, man.
I find it very interesting that the 2 projects they're focusing on are the 2 licensed projects. The one where being in breach of contract could be very bad, because they've hung everyone out to dry on their other game. If go scroll up, Ryan. Scroll up so you can click on actually Mythic as a company. So you can see.
I got it.
Way up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, a little further up. Mythic games created by.
Right there.
Yeah, 13 created. Let's see, what is the one? I think everyone with Monster Apocalypse and Anaseers, just you're screwed. So keep scrolling down. I know it's Hell, exactly. Hell, the Last Saga.
Oh, right. Right.
Did we get asked here?
Nope, we didn't. We dodged.
Go ahead and click on Hell.
We got Steam Watchers.
Right.
So look at the estimated delivery date of June 2021.
Wow.
The date that it was funded. If we scroll,
it was funded on. Oh gosh, this usually.
Did they take that away so that people can't bug the creators?
Yeah,
it almost seems like they did.
Yeah, I can't see it.
In any case, it was funded in
fun.
2020.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, May
Yeah.
26, 2020.
Jeez.
And then take a look at the updates.
Let's
See where they're at.
106 updates. Last one on March 17th.
They're testing the game.
The testers' feedback.
More than 3 years after it funded, they're just in testing phase. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Mythic this is a train wreck.
So
Train wreck
this
company.
is the thing. You've got Super Fantasy Brawl, which I haven't been paying attention to. You've got Monster Apocalypse. You've got Anarchy, and you've got Hell. The two projects they're focusing on first are Six Siege and Darkest Dungeon. The two ones where they could potentially have some big problems with.
Right. Yeah,
And
Ubisoft,
go
like
ahead
you said.
and open up Anis here because we gave a recommendation in the packet because that is one of the coolest looking games that
No
I've ever
kidding.
seen.
That's the one that had the magnets, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm
Oh, that
so
looks so cool.
disappointed
Yeah.
that this is probably never going to happen. It's like the last priority, but click on late pledge, Brian. Let's see if GameFound has kept them open.
This project is currently open for backers with
Whoa.
credits. You can't add anything to your pledge because you don't have any, because I didn't back it. Yeah.
Yes, so GameFound stepped in and cut them off from keeping the late pledge open. So we got to give GameFound a little bit of credit there. When Mythic looked like they were running into a wall, they shut down the pledge manager so people can't just show up and be like, this looks cool, I'm going to throw money
Yeah.
at it, when there's no chance of them necessarily getting the game.
Yeah. There's
That one
nothing in here.
that is a shame. That game did look amazing.
Oh, that looked so cool.
I'm just glad at the time we were like, I think we were juggling between 2 or 3 different games. We're like, well, we can't do one of these, and that was the one that fell short.
Mhm.
And wow, we dodged a bullet.
You dodged a bullet because I went all in because this was like the perfect game for Julie and myself. Good minis, side-scrolling aspect, campaign, 1 or 2 maps, quick setup. It's exactly what we need to get our regular game nights going with big campaign game type stuff, or just having one-off games. And yeah, I managed to get a chargeback done. I had to go through the company, and I just barely pulled it off. I think that one of the reasons why the chargeback happens is because someone at Mythic has to fight the bank about it and explain why the chargeback isn't valid. And I literally don't think they have anyone that was able to do that. But I got put into the queue like you did. I was put into the queue in July, and I
Right.
still haven't heard back from them. And this is July of last year,
Wow.
Wow.
requesting a refund.
You can
I
imagine.
finally went to my credit card company in December, like just on the cutoff date.
Amazing.
So in Canada, you've got 6 months to file a chargeback.
Wow.
And so
I
then
can
they had
imagine
this.
calling them and be
And
like,
they
so
had right here.
reason to not get this game out? And they're like, yeah, we got nothing. Sorry.
They even had it on here. We had to ask Darkest Dungeon backers for a contribution due to unexceptional overcosts related to combined crises, COVID, war in Ukraine,
Ukraine.
war in
Yeah.
Ukraine, which wasn't happening when
No.
this project was going.
Holy. They're throwing everything in as an excuse. So just, get out of here. I'm done with this company.
Yeah.
Oh, it's shifting stuff around. And I mean, if you want to look at another perfect example, and I think talking about Mythic is really sort of highlighting like the bad actors, and we don't necessarily want to like beat a dead horse, but you can just take a look up for Peterson Games. Like what a disaster that company's turned into as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about that company.
Oh,
That's the Cthulhu Wars,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But they did probably what was one of the most reprehensible things, I think, is when they said, like, hey, Cthulhu Wars is done, but we need to get more stuff to get into retail. So all you people that already gave us money have to wait till whatever happens with this retail deal.
Wow.
That's
And
not
they also
okay.
have Dinosaur 1944, which looked awesome. A game I almost backed. That one shelved. The Planet Apocalypse reprints basically got shelved. Like the whole thing just kind of went
I'm
sideways.
lucky. I got a Planet Apocalypse. Someone on Twitter recommended it for me years ago. And I was like, and I got one ordered through our local game store here. And It's still just sitting on the shelf back there behind me. I haven't played it, but I'm glad I got it because it looks awesome.
Well, so I wanted to. This is actually something that we didn't put in the agenda, but I'll bring up. But I want to ask you guys about Witcher: The Old World, because there was another thing I want to bring up when at the end when we talk about continuing on with crowdfunding. So don't let me forget.
Okay.
And then so there, I think we've covered enough about Mythic. And here's a company that, and I want to give these guys full credit for a lot of the way they were handling stuff early on, which is Grimlord Games. So I think you got the window open already, Brian, for Grim Dynasty.
I had it, but I don't have it anymore. But it was on game. That was a GameFound one as well.
Yeah, GameFound. So just look up Grim Dynasty.
Grim Dynasty. There it is. Village Attacks.
So unfortunately, Grimlord Games has ceased operations. They are actually liquidating their assets. You can see that in the update. They have given a contact for creditors, and they've included all of the backers as creditors. Now, are you going to be able to get anything? I don't know. But unfortunately, the company's made a lot of mistakes, and it has folded. Now, the one thing I will say is I was a backer of this project. I had the original Village Attacks. In early 2020, they were struggling a lot with the Everrain, and that came out 4 years later. That was the last project. This one did not get completed. One of the owners, Adam Smith, or founders, has gone off and is now doing other projects for DICE on Kickstarter. I think that's kind of scummy, to be honest. A lot of people give him grief for that. I was like, hey, he's like, well, I'm not really the owner of this. And if you go to the website, it's like, he's like founder, owner, like, yeah. So if Adam Smith is named on a project, guys, like, just stay away, because I think he definitely was a part of them sinking the ship. However, in 2020, when I asked for a refund, when I realized that this was just taking forever and I lost interest, I'd done a $1 pledge. I had put all my money in on the pledge manager. I had like a $10 pledge. They refunded me everything except like 10% of like $10. I lost a few bucks on the whole thing. So for a while there, they had good faith. They were trying to do some stuff, but it just didn't work out. And this is poor organizational structure, like costs. I'm sure the costs of everything going up in the pandemic probably put them over the top, and delays, which I think shows you that I think more companies need to have product ready to go when it's this big miniature thing before it goes to Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I think that's been some of the more successful games lately, other than like, CMON games and whatnot and everything like that. But they have a product ready, like almost ready to go. I've been following that train of thought here lately. I'm trying to think of the one that off the top of my head, but yeah, they've been wanting to get the game as close to product. No, well, AEG is doing that now. AEG has gotten like really, and Daily Magic Games is doing the same thing too, where they've got a pretty darn good game ready to go, ready to print like right now. And they're just like, let's crowdfund, get those extra little things in order. Let's see what the demand is for this product, and then we can ship it off to the printers.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice when that happens, when you back a game and then it's like 3 months later it comes. You're like, this is wonderful.
Even within the year, that's amazing.
Or within their expected time frame, right? Yeah. Like if you're expecting it a year later and it actually comes, like sick.
Not being in testing mode 3 years after you.
Like hell. I mean,
right.
I think people have been saying, like, you know what, when they're talking about crowdfunding, I think there's definitely a place for some of the smaller games. Some of the more reputable companies that are still using crowdfunding all the time for everything, like CMON, are just going to keep up the model until it falls down. But I think you really need to do an analysis and ask some hard questions, because I think too many creators were able to skate by with very, very poor business structure. And now that, the cost of everything's gone up, this poor business structure, because you could get away with stuff, you could skate through on like loopholes with VAT, you're paying cheap costs of shipping, stuff was cheap in China, like it ain't that way anymore. And unfortunately, I think Grimlord Games fell because of that. That being said, I don't think their business practices were necessarily the best when they were starting out. So I think that's really like just another sad example. And there are some other companies that I think are really skating that line. Now, we wanted to talk about some companies that were coming out of a bad situation. They're starting to get stuff shipped, so we don't need to show their page. But I'm a backer of Blacklist Game stuff. I've got a lot of stuff outstanding from them. They're supposed to ship Contra by the end of this month. So they're getting their Contra game out. The missing Street Master stuff is supposed to be coming. And then they're supposed to be getting some stuff going on Buddy Call. So we're getting somewhere with them, which is nice. But one thing you need to consider, there's some other companies that might be teetering the edge of disaster. So Ryan, if you want to go ahead and bring up Lucky Duck Games.
Do you want me their website or just because they got?
Why don't we go with their
on
GameFound? Let's look up Lucky Duck Games on GameFound and what they've got going on Kickstarter. And by no means I'm always saying anything negative about Lucky Duck Games. They deliver. They make great games. They work with the app. They've had some snafus with their apps, deliveries and things like that, just like everyone else. But when you're looking at some warning signs, some red flags, is the amount of projects that are outstanding. So right now you've got 4 projects on GameFound that are outstanding: Kingdom Rush Elemental, Divinus, which Ryan says is coming soon, Dark Quarter, which is funded, and then there's Destiny's Into the Witchwood, which funded not that long ago. That was another project I think we almost talked about, both of those, Dark Quarter and Destiny's. I don't remember if they were both 2023 though.
No, I think these are like late 2022.
Well, I think Dark Quarter was 2023. And for sure
I think it was early 2023 was Dark Quarter, I think.
Yeah.
Does it say a date?
No, but the Dark Quarter was on Kickstarter. You would see it on their Kickstarter page.
Ah, yes. Let's go back to there. Let's go search Lucky Duck.
It probably won't come up because Kickstarter is a mess when it comes to that. Oh, it actually came up.
There we go. Dark Quarter. And that was...
You have to scroll down on that side.
Wasn't it right up at the top there?
2022, May.
Oh, you're right. May 2022. I thought
like
it was
a year ago.
Yeah.
So was it? So that would have been Destiny's Witchwood. Then that was 2023.
Probably.
Yeah.
No, that was a GameFound project.
Yeah, Ryan, come on.
Because then they just finished this one. They just finished this one, Into the God's Grave.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at where they're at, they've got a great team. They got publishing deals. They have a retail arm. They've got financing coming in. But it looks like Divinus has jumped ahead of Kingdom Rush Elemental, which is definitely a little concerning if you're a backer of Kingdom Rush Elemental. That's never a good sign with projects start shifting in terms of their priority in the queue. And we're seeing campaigns like require apps. Most of them are app supported games. You're at about 5 of them now that are not delivered. And we just completed another one. So you've got board game development as well as software development.
Yep.
Which is just something that I would be keeping an eye on as, a fan of. I do like Lucky Duck Games. I really like the Chronicles of Crime Millennium series. They do a lot of good stuff. They've got some great people. I think that they're going to be fine, but seeing, Destiny's Into the God's Grave, if they do another campaign, if they're doing 3 or 4 campaigns a year, and we're not starting to see all those campaigns, for it, a new campaign starts, a campaign delivers, that's when I start getting concerned.
Well, I remember this. This was a number of years ago now that Kickstarter. Now, which company was it that they started saying, "Hey, you've been doing too many. You have too many unfulfilled projects right now. You can't run another one." Was that Colossal?
That was Colossal.
You're right.
Yep. But now you have BackerKit. You have GameFound, you've got Kickstarter. You can play in 3 different pods that don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
and all they do is they get a cut. They get 10%. They get their 10% or whatever it is, and they don't give a crap about the backers.
Which is true, because then Divinus was, I think, just GameFound.
Yep.
Dark Quarter was, we just saw on
Kickstarter. Destiny's is GameFound, and Into the God's Grave is now back on
Kickstarter. So yeah, they're bouncing back and forth between the platforms.
And as you see, we're not seeing project deliver, project start, project deliver, project start. So is there any commingling of funds? Because that's always a slippery slope when that happens. And that's not to accuse Lucky Duck of anything. They make great games, great products. But we've seen stuff like this before with Mythic and other companies that have then kind of gone the way of lots of trouble. I mean, there's plenty of other companies that we can talk about, plenty of other things to look at when it comes to delays.
Yeah.
Kickstarter
and Lucky Duck Games is also in the business of publishing, licensing and publishing other companies' games and bringing them being more regional for some games that can't, like, say, get into Europe or can't get into certain other places. Lucky Duck Games comes in and helps them out.
No, yeah. So they've
right.
got the ability to survive. It's just, it's one of those things when you see situations like this, it's always a little concerning. I mean, we've got a company that I'm not the biggest fan of, but you can go ahead and take a look for Storm Thunder.
I remember you talking about this one.
Yeah,
I remember this one.
vaguely remember this as well. Yeah.
Whoops. Storm Thunder.
I think it'd be one word. There you go.
Yeah.
And now, if you've backed this game by Lazy Squire Games, I'm hoping you get it. The game looks amazing. They're still updating. They're still working on this. However, this game is starting to become massively delayed. And it's one of the things I think we didn't have it on the agenda. Yeah, they did plan for 2 years of working on it, though. So, I mean, it was March 2022.
Yeah. So we're more than a year beyond that now. So
yeah, we're well beyond. So this game is massively delayed. And
$500, eh? Ooh.
Who among us is not suffering from delayed deliveries right now? Like, I've got a lot of stuff out there that's coming that people are struggling to get out the door.
And this wasn't a huge project by all means. They didn't even make $1 million.
And they're now past their delivery date.
Yeah.
But they did run another campaign for Wild Descent, which I think is also past its delivery date. So
yes, that's when I remember we talked about Wild Ascent. You'd mentioned this one to us, and I took.
You guys were all thinking about backing it after you saw it. Like,
no, because then you said you mentioned Storm Center. I took a good hard look at this one for a long time, and I never did pull the trigger on it, but I remember taking a good hard look and said, "Wow, this thing looks amazing."
It sure does.
Yeah.
And they have recent updates going on for this one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you have some hope, people, if they're still updating.
May 31st.
Yeah, okay.
May 31st. Testing, starting equipment upgrades, and new status effects.
Okay.
So they're supposed to finish testing by September 2023.
Okay.
And look, it all depends on what they're doing. Is this their day job? Is it not their day job? If it's their day job, you're in trouble. Like, that's just straight up the way it is. Like, if this is their day job, you're in trouble. But lots of companies are they're struggling with a lot of different things going on right now. You can take a look at Elf Creek Games, for example.
So Elf Creek
struggling with shipping issues right now.
They're doing their best. I haven't heard what the deal is there. I only knew that they had an issue just because of what you said earlier today. So this
look
is
up Atlantis Rising Monstrosities. That's the one that I'm on. So that's what I know as to what's going on.
Oh, wait. So this is the company that brings you Honey Buzz.
Yep.
Atlantis Rising. Yep.
Merchants of the Dark Road.
Merchants of the Dark Road. Interesting. Okay.
So they're struggling with shipping costs. Now, If anyone goes on there in the comments, say shipping's gone down, shipping's gone down, shipping's gone down. Yes, overseas shipping has gone down. Last mile shipping is up. I work for a manufacturer. Shipping costs are insane. They're a lot higher than they were. They have not gone down like the sea shipping. So where you might have saved a couple, $1,000 based on the or hundreds of thousands, depending on the amount of containers, great. But if you've got X amount of containers on trucks, well, guess what? Your $2,000 run is now an $8,000 run. So you're kind of back where you were. So you can see where they're prepping for fulfillment. And here's some of the obstacles. There's shortfall, but they're reasonable. They're eating a bunch of the costs. They're asking for $5 to $20 US to get the stuff out.
I was going to say I've met these folks a few times, and they've been awesome people to deal with, and so it saddens me to hear that they're having issues, but good to hear that they're trying to handle it in the best way possible.
Yep. So that's the issue that they've got going on right now, and so they're eating some of the costs. There's regions that are affected. Luckily, I'm in Quebec. One of the few times of being in Quebec is good. So Board Game Blitz is supposed to fulfill Quebec and Ontario for us.
Interesting. Okay.
They've been.
They're working hard.
Has been really good
to keep the cost down.
That's good to hear.
But this is going to be something that's going to be becoming more and more regular unless companies and backers change their minds about how they want stuff done. Only way for companies to avoid this is to charge shipping a ton shipping.
Yeah.
And that means you don't know what you're going to pay for your game.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. Like, again, everything has always been, and I think we've always seen that. It's always been, this is the estimate. This is the estimate. And we have absolutely no idea. Like that, we've seen those estimates being close. We've seen those estimates being way don't even hit the mark. It's usually the latter. It's usually not even close to what you see on the little page for the estimate. It's usually double that is what I've noticed over the last couple of years anyway. Yeah. Unless if you're dealing with a big company that, sorry, when I go big company, these are big companies and they have things in place, and they already have those subsidies in place and everything like that, where they can get a little bit of deals and stuff like that. That's why I've mainly stuck to my projects that I backed. I've stuck to these companies like AEG and Daily Magic Games, and they have those costs pretty much hammered down. What you're going to get. And since we have a project already close to fulfillment, and you back this other thing, well, hey, we can fulfill this later project with the one that you helped us fund a while back. That one's going to get good to go. You can actually get all 3 games all at the same time, type thing, for one shipping cost, which is actually amazing what AEG was able to do with that, with Fit to Print and the Point City deep dive campaign. If you backed both campaigns, they're all being shipped together at one shipping cost.
Did you get in on that Fit to Print?
No, but we have it's on pre-order at the
I
local
thought you did get in on that one.
No.
That was a fun game.
Yeah, we played that at Shucks, right?
Yeah.
It was good.
So I think we kind of covered sort of the Mythic games, the pitfalls of crowdfunding, and we're going to go back in time a little bit here. We're going to let Ryan do a rant, actually. From when this channel used to be Mista Rau Gaming Rants and Reviews, because we're going to talk a little bit about some of the other controversies in the board gaming space now. And we're going to try not to disparage any other creators that are doing their own thing, trying to make their names here. But we're going to talk about crowdfunding marketing. So, Ryan, rant away, because I know you've got a couple of good examples of things you absolutely hate when it comes to board game marketing on crowdfunding.
Yes. And like Jason said, this topic has already been beaten to death a million times and it's going to get beaten to death a million times plus one in future years to come. It's whatever the cycle is. I always say there's these things that happen in board game media. It's a cycle. And we've already just passed this one about the concept of preview versus review and what do you get paid for? What do you not get paid for? It's the big one right now. And really, folks, it has to be about the freaking communication. That is, how hard is it to pick up a phone and use it as a freaking phone? I almost went on PG. But
this is the bane of our existence. We try to do business over text,
or an email.
I've learned my lesson, and look, we've got a legal team that says do not put things in writing because you never know how it's going to be construed because there's lack of context, lack of intonation, so many things that can happen. And I heard a very interesting story about representative that wrote something in an email, and the only reason why we did not get in trouble was because the customer actually replicated the exact behavior that was in the email that could have been considered disparaging in the courtroom.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow.
I'll give you guys the details off camera. That's a good story, but definitely not
but yes, if you want to market your game and you want to preview it, pay the person. And the person that's going to produce the content for you, that person needs to have those costs. Boom, right there. You want a playthrough, you want a how to play video, cool. We charge X dollars.
Yep.
X dollars for that. Do with that information how you want. If you want to go shopping around for the cheapest buyer, cool. You want to go shopping around for the person with the biggest reach and the biggest audience, right on. But make sure you know what the cost is. And pay the content creators. Pay the content creators what they're worth. That's always been a big thing. Me, I just did a preview on my last Tuesday night stream for Daily Magic Games, their newest Kickstarter, Castellans of Valeria. Really good game. Go check it out. But I was not getting paid for that preview. Rather, I'm actually doing a lot of play testing for the game for them right now and everything like that. So I'm actually going to end up getting a copy of this game later down the road after all the play testing is done. I'm play testing the solo mode for it. So we're trying to really work out the wrinkles for that. But at least, okay, so I am going to get something out of the deal. I put that in as I'm a small fish. I just want exposure type thing. That's all I really, really wanted. But I laid that out there right online. The first thing they ever asked me was, how much do you charge? And I said, I don't actually charge anything. I just want exposure. Just share my stuff. I'll do some play testing for you. Give you a game at the end. They're like, cool, right on.
Beautiful.
But you got to think about it. Depending on the company, there's only certain things that they can afford. And if you're a content creator and you're soliciting, reaching out to these companies that have not necessarily asked you to solicit, it's a whole different thing. If a company says, we would like you to potentially cover our game, okay, go ahead, respond. You can send your rates, do this or anything. When you write out emails to a company saying, hey, we're going to give you all of this for thousands of dollars, you got to really kind of think about what you're doing, what you're asking, your phrasing, and you probably should send a copy of a contract along with that that's got everything nicely detailed out.
Yeah, right. You don't create the content first and then say, hey, we created content for you, pay us. You don't do that.
You've already screwed up.
Especially we created content that wasn't very good because we made mistakes and then pay us. So yeah, that's just, I don't know why you'd ever say that.
At the same time, I'm blaming the company too, as in, did you know that you were going to end up paying these people if you did not know that, why did you send them the game in the first place?
They did not. It was they got a copy of the game.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Wait a minute. Okay, I missed that part.
Yeah, it was either delivered or they had a preview from a previous Kickstarter, and they got because they did the preview. Now they got the full game from the company, so they were just doing their own content on that level, from what I've understood. But in any case, it was not. Yeah, there was nothing to have content created about the existing game for the upcoming Kickstarter or the currently running Kickstarter, however you want to debate the timing.
Wow. Okay.
Any way you shake that, it's just an enormous mess, right? Like,
yeah,
everyone is kind of to blame in that scenario, really.
there just needs to be the communication.
Yeah.
Or
It's simple as that.
Or the wherewithal of being a company, if you're the company and this is going weird, just to be like, hey guys, you know what? We're not going to work with you. Sorry, you did what you did. We're not going to work with you. But by the way, you may want to fix some stuff or do some addendums to your video because you now sent us this in writing. And if you put a content saying our game's crap, well, we're just going to show the receipts. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just a lot of lack of professionalism, as you say, on both sides. But that just goes to show you when you're dealing with content creators in Kickstarter, even people that do this as a job, they say this is a full-time job, are they really a professional? Like, we do this for fun. We have families that keep us from potentially trying to get this to a level where it would be a paying second job.
Yeah.
And you see people now that have these 40,000, 50,000, like 60,000 or 30,000 view channels that are trying to make this a thing. And I have a good friend of mine who started doing YouTubing and was trying to make it a thing potentially, but he had a model from an actual YouTuber that he worked with. And the only time the YouTuber stopped doing his full-time job, because we're in Canada with paid healthcare, by the way, it's a Canadian YouTuber, was when he had enough money to get his own insurance, his own, like everything that he was getting from his day job, he could pay with his regular checks from his streaming, consulting, like whatever he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the only time that he considered doing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the right play.
All right,
sure.
and I'm going to let this conversation keep going. I'm going to dip off camera for 30 seconds because I realized I plugged my laptop into the wrong port. I need to plug it in before it dies.
Oh, no.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. What a crazy situation that I think continues to be. I haven't seen an update in maybe a week or two, but it's ugly, right? It's just ugly.
But what I have noticed, though, on the content that I do consume is that things are very much more laid out as in this is a paid preview. Okay, there will be no opinions in this piece or anything like that, or this has been a review where it's been the company has given us a review copy, but this is not paid content. I've seen a lot more disclaimers on people's content now saying exactly when have they been paid to do something for the company and when they have just received something but they're not getting paid for I've seen a lot more disclaimers on the things. For sure.
And those are right at the forefront of most videos these days. Just like alert, like paid preview, like take from this video what you will. So
if you're doing preview content, like that should just be that's exactly what it is. It should be advertising. Yeah. I don't think there should be any opinions inside of that video at all.
I disagree with that though slightly. Very slightly, because at a certain point, I think if you're previewing something and the game is so bad, you really need to reconsider if you should be taking that paycheck or not. And I think that's a problem. Like, go ahead and bring up the video we were talking about, Ryan. Game Boy Geek's preview of the Umbrella Academy card game.
What was it? Preview?
It was on YouTube. Yeah. Umbrella Academy card game Kickstarter preview.
Okay, Game Boy Geek, Umbrella.
And look, I get it. Depending on what the deal was, if you've signed the contract, if you're committed, you may have to go forward with this project. However, you may not. You might have certain stipulations if you're contractually obligated. Yeah, I get it. But this is such a small space. I can't see you having such an ironclad contract that you cannot get out of an agreement.
Oh, I guess I need to share the screen. I'm not realized I wasn't sharing the screen.
So.
And it's just this one up here at the top.
Yeah, so I went ahead and, Game Boy Geek's been around a long time, reputable channel, does a Kickstarter, does a lot of good stuff. And I really liked his stuff. Like I don't follow him regularly, but everything that I've seen when I've been trying to engage with the game, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Good guy, gonna trust him. All in. So we did the Kickstarter preview for this game. And there's one glaring issue with the game. The game is unplayable with the solo rules that he had at the time of playing the Kickstarter preview. The game is literally unplayable. You can set the game up and the game is over because of the scenario you have. You cannot win the game.
Oh, no.
Yet, there's his Kickstarter preview. I don't know the details. I don't know the contract. I don't know what's going on. The game is rated like a 3 something or less on Board Game Geek. It is an absolute disaster.
Wow.
The company sent the rules out. The fixed rules, which make it playable now at solo, was sent out as a link in September, 3 months before the game arrived. So if you did not think to read that September update, you were like all the thousands of people that got the game based on a licensed property trying to figure out where the hell the rules are. How the heck are you supposed to play this game and win at certain player counts? It is an absolute atrocious disaster mess. But we've got a Game Boy Geek preview for it. Like, I don't know, like if I was him and I was doing this, I would have been like, I can't put this out. Like, I can't cover your game.
Yeah, I feel like that's a discussion you have, right? So like when you make that, you know, when you come together and they ask you, you want to do this, and then you agree, yeah, sure, I'll take a look at it here. And then, but I think there's like a bit of a grace period there, right? So like they send you the game, right? And then you should have, you know, say a week to kind of go through it and see how you like, if it's something you think you should be covering, like especially on a preview where they are basically paying you to positively talk about this game. But like to your point, Ryan, if this game or Ryan, Jason, to your point that if this game you're playing through this, like, God, no, like first off, it's busted. That's not good. But then if it's just something you don't like at all, I think you should have that conversation with the publisher or designer, whomever this is, to say like, you know what, I don't think that this is going to work between us, and then kind of maybe just end the deal.
Well, on a side note too, so that game, was that only solo, or was there solo and like, was it only solo play?
No, it was other plays, but like in solo, it is literally unplayable, broken. And on the higher, if you were not playing with 6 players, like the full player count at the game, it was almost unplayable. The game would break with certain setups of the game.
So why, like to me, why in that scenario, if it, I don't know the contracts and all that kind of stuff, but if it was me, if I was playing this and like this game, like 6 players is the only way you can play this, why not go to them and say, hey, like, can you not do something with these rules? Make it like fix it.
That's right.
And then in your video, you can say, this game, amazing at 6. It plays very well. I found some issues. I talked with them. They're currently working on like a rules upgrade to make the other parts like better, just to put that out there, right?
It's a paid preview though. So like that's the tricky thing. If they're paid, they're doing the contract work. They don't want to necessarily like disturb the publisher, because when you're looking at guys like the Game Boy Geek and like a couple of others, and there's nothing wrong with this, they do Kickstarter. They do funding. They're trying to make this a full-time gig.
Yeah.
And I think that there's an issue there. Like when this becomes your livelihood, how are you able to interact correctly? But it's because it's so small that it's so hard to make this your livelihood.
But then if you were to do that and be honest with the preview, even though it's paid, when like you're going to the company, talking to them about it, right? If the company's anything worth their salt, they're going to be like, oh, we didn't realize that. That's a big misstep. You know what I mean? And they just say like, oh, look, we'll fix it. So at least then.
Or you guys agree to just not work together. But like you're saying, Jason, too, like if this is your full-time job, how do you turn down work?
But I just don't think it would need to be turned down if you guys could agree to that, because then you're still having the trust of the people watching you, because you know, like you said, good channel, like everything's been pretty decent. It doesn't lose the credibility on that. And the game doesn't necessarily look bad because they're fixing an issue, you know. I don't know. And I get it, but
there's a tightrope to walk there, right? Of like you never want to put out a content that isn't really what you think, because I think that's just weird. So you don't want to like lose your own credibility or your whatever you want to call that, but you also want, like, if these people are doing this full time, you want to, you know, be getting this work. So I think you have a lot of correspondence to do behind the scenes to make this thing work properly for both sides, or else I just don't see how you could do it.
Or maybe that's something that needs to be written into whatever contracts they have. But like, if I think this game is garbage, we're gonna do something. Either I don't take the money, or you guys fix it or something. Right? That's what I mean. Like, maybe
you fix this. You fix this one of two ways.
Go ahead.
Or you just fix this. You take the opinion piece right out of the content that you're producing. Mm-hmm. You're either you're promoting the content, you're promoting the product, you're taking pictures and you're just kind of doing a big old description of the video with a really big, nice production, or you're doing a playthrough of the game and everything like that, and you're highlighting the different aspects of the game, but you're leaving your opinion piece out of it. Even if I think this game is an absolute joke and it's crap, I'll still make a content for you. Do you want me just to do a playthrough, or do you just want me just to do some fancy pictures and do some fancy production, make a really fancy advertisement essentially for this?
Make it look as good as possible.
But I'm not gonna say anything good, and I'm not gonna say anything bad about it. That's how you get around that. You still get paid, you still make the content, and then you just let the company. It's communication. Everything 100% is always communication. I'm a teacher.
I agree with you.
I'm a
teacher. But then your content is worthless.
Because it's tainted,
Because even if you're not taking the opinion, you know the game is crap. And I say it's worthless because we all grew up at the time when there was freaking infomercials. And you know what we did when those infomercials came on? We would change the damn
Unless
channel.
you're Anna Marie and you're like, that looks amazing.
An infomercial. And I don't want to watch your
I'm Jim the Hammer Shapiro, 1-800-546-7777. I'm not an SOB, but I can be your SOB. I also watched lots of these.
So but that's what it is. I think then you're doing an infomercial. Now, I think a playthrough, an unbiased playthrough of the game works. Mm-hmm. But I think that's about the only thing that you can do. But even then, like, it's really hard to hide your opinion when you're playing a game.
Well, an unbiased playthrough, if it's garbage, if the rules break it in the first round, you can't do that. Mm-mm. Right? Like
the problem then then the playthrough you're tweaking it, then you're shuffling the cards back to make sure that you get a
good pull or
trying to limp through.
So here's my latest experience. So here's my latest experience. I just did a playthrough preview for Daily Magic Games. Before that, I did do that playthrough. I did make a mention that I said I think the solo mode is really easy. I've been decimating the solo opponent. So do you still want me to go through with this playthrough? And they said, we've kind of heard about the solo mode being easy, but we think those cases might just be like, one-offs or something like that. So I went on stream. I said, okay, I'll still play the solo mode and everything. And I decimated the AI opponent again. And now they're getting that's why I'm doing some play testing for them again, because now people have seen these videos. Mine and Slicker Drips has also done a solo playthrough video where we both very handedly defeated the AI opponents. And now people are starting to question if I want to actually back this thing for solo play, because we think that the solo mode is way too easy.
But like you said, you brought it to them and they were like, okay,
let's roll with the punch and see what happens. And then boom. And he was like, it was very mixed. The next day, he's like on the email, he's like, saw your video. I see.
I see.
Yeah.
But communication, I'm a teacher by trade. Communication is the 100% number one key element. There's nothing that drives me absolutely nuts more than a student that comes to me minutes before the exam say, I'm not ready. Right. What am I supposed to do with that information? You're writing it today.
And I think you're right, Ryan. I think there's a way for a lot of those previews and stuff to still work. I think the problem is that if the game is really bad and really terrible, like, you got to really analyze like what you're going to do, how you're going to walk out of this. And I got to say, like, after seeing like a good channel like the Game Boy Geek do the Umbrella Academy, getting the game, playing the game. I've never gone back to his content. Like since then, I'm like, yeah, that's just a big no-no for me. You'll take a paycheck, you'll do your preview, and that's just the way I felt about it.
Well, really, the preview was just going through whatever was in the rule book and just like physically showing it on the table. It seems exactly what it was.
Yeah, but you know, when you're doing that, you've clearly played this game. Yeah. You're not going to do that without playing the game. So you do have an opinion, and you know it's bad. Like, you know it's not good. And you still put out your content, and you still put your name with that brand. Like, if you're talking about branding, and that's one of the things that I do in my day job now, it goes like, how do you affiliate your brand with another brand to take both your brands like to level? Like, how does the brand that I represent, how the people I work with showcase what they're actually doing in the marketplace? So when you go ahead and then like put your brand out in this Kickstarter preview, okay, you guys are now linked together. Like, so that's who you are. It's not a review, it's a preview. You guys are together. And if their brand is mud, your brand is now mud too. Because you say, I don't mind shilling for mud.
Yeah.
And I'm using mud instead of another word. That starts with an S. I'm trying to keep it family friendly here.
Smud.
But I think a lot of people already know if you're coming into the space. I'm going to assume that if you're sitting at 31.2 thousand subscribers, that you're more of a company now than a guy who just does. And then
at 31K, are you really a company? Are you getting those checks? Like,
well, in the gaming industry, like we were talking about this, 31K still in YouTube land is a small fish.
Yes.
In YouTube land. Not in board game. In board game YouTube land, you're a superstar. But in YouTube, but in general YouTube world, you're not
I don't think you're clearing $100 a month necessarily in YouTube checks at 30K.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know what any of that equals, but yeah.
Well, so you can look at the channel. There's 3 Minute Board Games, and they've done very, very well for themselves. And he posted like what he makes monthly on YouTube alone, and it is like not even like $500.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
So, like, and that's with all the hours, all the content, all of this. Well, a lot of people survive through Patreon, or like Board Game Geek does a Kickstarter for a season where he does some stuff. We've seen NPI, like no pun intended, they do Kickstarters to fund themselves. Dice Tower, who probably are the Dice Tower and Shut Up and Sit Down, who are the largest, have alternate revenue streams. So you got to get your money someplace else, and that's through donations. I mean, that's really what it's about. It's you're selling yourself and your personality. Once you get to that 40K, you might be able to make a go of it. But if you piss off your fans,
Secret Ball does their Kickstarter every year.
And even then, how many of the Secret Cabal don't work besides the Secret Cabal? One? It's Jamie. Jamie essentially is the Secret Cabal. Yeah.
Yeah, because he does all the editing. He does all the producing.
Editing, recording, producing, managing the Kickstarter. He is a Secret Cabal, and he gets, sure, the lion's share of that is to make sure that he can keep doing this day in and day out. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it is definitely a shaky business model. And to their credit, he said that before, that a couple of times on the Kickstarter, he's like, I have to get a job. I might have to get a job. I haven't had a job in like 7 years, and I have to get a job.
That's too bad. Poor guy.
But, the Kickstarter turned around, and they're able to keep doing it with their sponsors and other things. So their sponsors, there's other ways to do it, but you're playing in a lot of different pools.
Yeah.
When you're trying to do this full time, and putting any one of those pools at risk, which you can do by assorting yourself with SMUD or certain other actions, is just the reality of being a content creator. It is, especially with inflation, everything going up, content creators and influencers are going to take a beating. And let's be real, this is a new thing. And everyone wants to try their hand at this.
Yeah.
Like we tried our hand at this. We've all kind of accepted that we're going to be doing our niche thing and we're going to be having fun. And this is a hobby. And hopefully a hobby that gets some cool free stuff from time to time and gets us recognized.
Because I can't even count how many times in my Twitter feed I've already seen people that want to go to Gen Con, can't go to Gen Con, so support my Ko-fi. It's kind of like a Patreon thing where they're all soliciting donations so that they can these content creators can go to Gen Con. And like they're like upwards of like, my goal is to meet $3,000 so I can get my I can do all the stuff in Gen Con, or I can go to Gen Con, or I can go to Origins, or I can go to a gaming convention where I can sell my brand or whatever it is. But I don't have the means to do it right now because we're all small fish.
Well, I think there's a very interesting perspective that we have as content creators and as people with integrity. Canadians, we have a lot of integrity. Yeah, go Canada. Love the Maple Leaf.
Jobs. We got jobs and kids.
And
jobs and kids.
Jobs and kids. So like we live in a different reality. And the one thing that, you know, we've talked about actually some content creators, I look at it like you got a great model, keep doing what you're doing. You can maybe grow it into something. But if you're trying to take this full time, I go, the one thing that's going to mess you up is having a kid. Because depending on where you live, how much things cost, you have a kid, like you might just be basically blowing up your whole world. Everything changes.
Well, I've gotten comments in the past are like, why do you start your streams so late at night? I've got kids.
Bedtime. Yeah.
I've got kids.
That's
the reason why.
Yeah.
Can't you do it something like on a Sunday afternoon? No. I can't do a Sunday afternoon because I am with my kids.
Like maybe when they're older and they want to get on the stream, I can do something. But then again, it'll be a very interesting stream and it'll probably last 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Like without kids, you could do this. You could come home from work and you could go straight into content creation. You could be doing all sorts of stuff, but that's just not reality. It's just, it is what it is.
I probably wouldn't, if I didn't have kids, I probably wouldn't have this big house with this big basement.
It's a very different reality, and you can see the content creators that are going at this full time, and that's fine. There's the ones that are able to do all of this because they were, you know, in the first wave, so they have that bigger following. They've been able to establish themselves and set up those revenue streams. But anyone else getting involved, you are down here, and you're gonna have to fight your way up or come with a good stick. And like, you know, we were talking. Like you've got Quackaloof, who's got great camera work because he was a videographer who's been able to grow his channel. You've got like the Board Game Geek, who's got a lot of great production values, but he's grown his channel. And look, like we're talking about people that do different things, like Board Game Co. Alex's perspective on running that shop, secondhand games, the buying and selling aspect of the game. He's gone X amount of subscribers. Like, but we haven't seen anyone, I think, in that new wave that I've ever kind of kept going at a meteoric rate. Everyone's kind of gone, plateaued. So this space, especially board game, is a limited space. And that does lead to a lot of funny and crazy things that kind of happen and a lot of irresponsible things that happen as well. And I think we need to trigger, because it is getting late, and I think we're getting close to the end here, but we do need to trigger another of Mista Rau's rants about the other awful part of crowdfunded marketing, the funded in 2 minutes and the low funding goals.
Oh my gosh. Who's latest culprit of this? Queen Games? My gosh.
Yeah, I think they're
one of my favorite companies to talk about and rip apart because man, they have, I don't know, Queen Games, get your stuff together or something like that. You clearly met you clearly set a low goal so that you can say, hey, we reached funding in 10 minutes. I don't know, whatever it was, stuff like that. And then you go ahead and like a day or two later, you say, oh, we didn't get the backing we wanted, so we're just going to cancel the project.
What?
Like what are you doing? I've seen this happen with other projects before. They met their funding goal, but they weren't performing at the level that they thought they were going to. And so they have to cancel the project so we can rework it again so that we can be more successful the next time around. What it was Queen Games this time around, wasn't it? I
believe it was. I thought I saw something that said it was Queen Games the last time.
Yes.
I mean, they do have 72 created Kickstarters, so it's kind of hard to keep track.
But they're okay. Let me rant about Queen 72. Games here. Queen Games, if you actually search Queen Games on Kickstarter, there's 2 Queen Games. There's 2 Queen Game thing. Yeah. That I'm trying to find it here. Queen Games. So if you just type in Queen Games in the search bar of Kickstarter, I'm going to share my screen right now. And over here and share this. I type in Queen Games into the search bar, and under creators, there are 2 Queen Games. And if you click on each of them, different projects come up under each of those.
What?
Yes.
What is that about?
Number 1, shady practice. Anywho, Queen Games is always in the product, and lots of these things are like,
funding canceled Escape Family Box. There you go.
That was the one. Yes. The Escape Family Box, which they've already done Escape 1,000,001 times on Kickstarter. They even just did here, the Queen Games Big Box campaign. This was just a campaign, they ran a campaign just to try to sell some of their extra stock that they had.
They just physically put it in bigger boxes or what?
Oh, but this is their thing. They have their game. They release X number of expansions for the game, and then after a while, they just release what's referred to as the big box, which is you just get everything inside of one box. I own many of these Queen Games big boxes, but I never ever once Kickstarted one of them because I can always get it in retail for way cheaper.
Yeah,
after the fact. Because this is what Queen Games does. They charge an extortionate amount of price for their actual games, and then when they come to retail, they're actually reasonably priced.
So did they do?
And they made the update for backers only, so people can't go look at it and talk about them on YouTube.
Yeah. So they had 82 backers.
82 backers.
They had 82 backers. $10,000 created out of for their Canadian goal. What is this? 6,000 euro for a 5,000 euro goal. They were not meeting their thing.
The real goal.
That bothers me. It feels like you set a goal and it was reached. That should be like breach of contract if they cancel that. You know, like if the goal is reached, they should have to go through with it. You know, like that's just, I hate that so much.
But then Kickstarter would be liable. And that's what they don't want to do, because the moment that Kickstarter forces someone to go through it, they are now responsible to help get this product into the market. And as we know, one thing about Kickstarter, they want no liability, clean hands. They just want the sticky fingers on the money, and that's about it.
So irritating.
I mean, and what was the other thing going on in crowdfunding? And this is something to be concerned about. And it's definitely a follow-up video that we have to do in the future. Is can you pull up on Kickstarter the new Monster Hunter campaign, the Steam Forge exclusive deal with Kickstarter?
Well, I don't know about this.
No, neither do I.
Yeah, so there's been, and look, I've got seen some Steam Forge games. I've enjoyed Steam Forge games. They sent us some review copies, but they have signed an exclusive deal with Kickstarter.
Oh.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Steam Forged.
Meaning their stuff cannot go to retail?
Maybe.
So there's a lot of interesting things that we don't know about that as of yet. So it was the Monster Hunter World Iceborne. It was part of their big announcement of the deal that they have with Kickstarter. So that's something I would really like to try to get some more details on. I thought you might have seen it because I know you got Monster Hunter World.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But,
I saw it on here, but I was like, well, it's going to be ages before we get to Monster Hunter World. So
Yeah.
like, I'm just,
So they have a deal with Kickstarter on this, and it's something we should talk about in the future in terms of like interesting, strange crowdfunding packages that are going on.
Interesting.
So
So is that stated in the campaign somewhere?
I don't believe so, but they made an announcement. It stated on Facebook. It was on Reddit. Like there's a bunch of availability on that whole situation.
Interesting. Da, 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 da. Okay. I have to pay
Interesting
attention to
indeed.
this.
yeah.
But that goes to show you how the competition is heating up. I mean, Kickstarter has lost Awakened Realms because they do GameFound, and
Yeah, they were a big one.
Yeah, that's a huge one to lose. But like Awakened Realms hasn't signed with GameFound. They just use GameFound, right?
Oh, isn't
no, they
Awakened
are
Realms-
GameFound.
They are
Oh.
GameFound.
Oh, really?
Like GameFound is their thing that they created.
They
and then-
created GameFound.
And then
GameFound was their pledge manager, and then go.
Oh, okay.
and now they've made it a crowdfunding platform for other projects to use.
There you go.
And their whole stick is being more responsible and helping creators, which is typically why you haven't really seen GameFound funded projects that have gone the way of the dinosaur yet. Because I do believe they manage some of the funds, and they're kind of like, well, you got to get here and we give you this. You get here, we give you this. And they do a couple other things behind to assist creators. Now, this is all agreed upon beforehand, if I'm not mistaken. I could be completely wrong. Someone knows, feel free to correct me below in the comments. But they do have a higher level of integrity. That's why all Mythic stuff got shut down once they started doing ridiculous things.
Right.
Whereas you'll see, Backer Kit and other big ones will stay open, even if the project's been in limbo for 5 years.
That's ridiculous.
Or pretending to be in production.
Yeah.
That's crazy. 5 years, my gosh.
Yeah, so I think we've covered the state of crowdfunding, like just kind of with all the insanity going on in this now, as the space is reshaping itself, especially in terms of what's going on with board games. But I wanted to ask you, Robin Animer, you backed Witcher: The Old World. Do you have it in your possession?
It's right here beside me.
All right, so I'm going to go share my screen now. I'm going to close a bunch of windows because I no longer need them at this point in time. But I think with some of the stuff we're seeing from retailers, we got to really start asking ourselves the question, at least, based on what we have available to us, should we still be backing certain games, at least the bigger ones, on Kickstarter?
It's always a toss-up, yeah.
So, for example, we now on 401 Games, they have Witcher: The Old World available for pre-order with most of the exclusives and stuff.
What?
So, as you can see, the deluxe edition is up and available. They've got the Skellig, the Mages, the dice set.
No kidding.
How much are they selling their deluxe set of stuff for? Okay.
183.
I'm trying to just pull, of course, it pulls other stuff. I was trying to just get the Witcher stuff. So we got to.
I'm pretty sure if you just type in the Witcher Old World in their search.
I think it's not going to come up well. I had it in their search. I'm like, look, here we go. Like Zombicide White Death is up here. Accessories.
No kidding.
Yeah. I've seen that they did this too with Cthulhu Death May Die, season 3, 4.
Tussle.
They did it also with the Marvel United.
X-23. Didn't see that. Good to know.
Yeah, some of those bigger campaigns, you can go to 401 Games and they'll have like the full pledge, like available to purchase, like the full pledge.
I will try to find Witcher: The Old World. It was
There you go.
Yeah, deluxe edition. Yeah, look at all that stuff. Some of that stuff is already people have already claimed it looks like.
Yeah, it's been up for a while. So if I'm not mistaken, that's most of the stuff that was available.
Wow.
So
Probably has been a while.
I don't know what you guys paid for it. I remember it was up there, but I think the pricing is comparable, especially when you consider shipping for all the stuff.
See if I can zip back here and find it.
And all of that stuff that's on 401 there that I'm looking at. Whoops, where are we here?
Our pledge was 125 euros.
What did we get? Does it say what pledge level we had?
It was the deluxe box. It was $180 Canadian.
So you could buy it, pre-order it essentially, and have that money in your account working for you for $4 more and no shipping.
And I would say on 401 games, that would get you to the free shipping.
Right. Yeah. So it would save the shipping. Yeah. So it's cheaper for sure.
Definitely.
Wow. No kidding.
Yep. I have friends. I have friends here in Saskatoon that got the new Marvel United stuff, waited for 401 games to pop it up on there. They got it and they get it for free shipping. And it costs, I want to say they said it cost about $20 to $30 cheaper for their one pledge level Canadian on here, and they don't have to pay the shipping.
I think the CMON stuff might still be cheaper because I just built the pledge. I have to.
Now you still have to put tax on top of this too. You still have to put tax on top of these prices.
Yeah.
So did we. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, ours was about $180 Canadian plus tax plus shipping.
Yeah.
For the deluxe box. So yeah, we could have saved shipping by going to 401.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you also save shipping if your local game store is bringing in the product
100%
as well.
So it's close when it comes to looking at the Zombicide White Death. It's very close to almost being the same cost, I think, even including the shipping.
Oh,
because
really?
I did I looked at what all of it would be, and I think it came out to about, I don't know, but that's not kind of what was previously paid on Kickstarter. No, it's cheaper. It's actually going to be cheaper to buy all this stuff through 401. I'm honestly thinking that it might be better to just cancel my pledge, eat some money, and order through them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's the gamble is if it's going to be there or not. And then I don't if they bring in a lot of them, then
it's becoming the norm that they'll retail back pretty much anything CMON and some of the bigger IPs.
They pay attention. I got to believe that they pay attention to the bigger projects, the big projects from the big well-known companies.
Right.
And they'll bring in that stuff. My game store here in Saskatoon, Amazing Stories, does the same thing. They pay attention to what the big thing is. He relies on me for that information. He says, Ryan, tell me what the big thing is. And he'll buy all that exclusive stuff and he'll bring it into the store. I'm looking right now. Amazing Stories Online has all of the Witcher Old World stuff that we just saw. And it's all right there in the store right now. You can buy it right now.
So, looking at some mid-tier big games like Agamonia, Tidal Blades 2, they're not showing up on 401 games.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Both of which we backed. Man.
So we get the idea. Now, we've gone through this. We've talked about our feelings. This has actually gone longer than I thought it would. And I'm going to need to get to bed fairly shortly. So I think it's time to summarize everything. And I felt that looking at that bit on 401 games, I just want to know how we are all feeling about crowdfunding these days, especially the companies going, the big companies on there, the mini fest. we talked about like, reducing crowdfunding, but it was thought about maybe stopping it altogether. I don't think anyone was necessarily going to stop it altogether. We're going to change the parameters of who we back at this point in time.
No,
Because
this is 100% it, because everything that I've backed on Kickstarter right now, I could have waited till retail. I could have waited because all of these games are coming to retail. The 100.
Well, if you're
100%.
if you're in charge of telling them what comes to retail, then they will all come.
If you have that relationship with your FLGS, you can make sure that some of these things. But I'm talking about like the AEG games. I know all of those AEG games are coming to retail. The Castellans of Valeria, Daily Magic Games, that's coming to retail. And there's no cut. And AEG, sometimes they'll put in like the promo packs. So like Daily Magic Games, they don't do any Kickstarter exclusives or stuff like that. So sometimes I pay attention to, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll see if they are they going to be charging a lot more at retail than, because AEG does do that. Like you're getting a discount right now for doing this. But you're going to have to pay $15 a game more at retail.
Because shipping. But then you pay shipping and then it's the same difference.
And then, so really, I'm now in the mindset of I'll pay attention to what the projects are. I'm like, cool. I'm most likely just going to tell my FLGS, you pay attention. It's up to him that he actually is going to order it and bring it in or not, and like that. But 401 Games, I've been noticing that they bring in then some of the big products.
Yep.
I think The Witcher: The Old World is a little bit of an exception because it's just popping up now. And the pledge manager closed, I think, a long time ago. So it's a little bit of a different situation. But if you're in Canada and you're looking at anything CMON, I don't think you should be pledging the campaign anymore. I think you go with a $1 pledge. Yeah. You see what happens. If it shows up at 401 or you've got a great relationship like Ryan does with your FLGS, you get it through them, you save the shipping. Or if it doesn't show up, well, guess what? You put your $1 in, you buy it before the pledge manager closes, and you're going to get your stuff.
Yep. I think you're bang on. I didn't really realize the 401 situation, but that's just like one more nail in the coffin for the different crowdfunding things that we do.
I think a lot of the things then, like the bigger things are probably good to get through your game store because they'll go in, but they're not going to, I don't know if they'll necessarily go for a lot of the smaller ones. So I think that's kind of, and I've said this before too, that's kind of where Kickstarter started and what the whole point was, is to help these small publishers or the small, designers trying to get their game out into the world. So I think it's still worth it to watch it and look for those, because those are the gems that probably won't get to retail, but their games are going to get made, and that's fantastic. Right.
They might get made. They might get made.
Maybe. But then again, here's the other side, right? If they don't get made, you most likely haven't put in like $150, $200 into the game, right? The smaller games are going to be less cost. So you're going to be out money maybe, but not as much as if, say, like your Mythic game doesn't get through and doesn't get made,
I think the Kickstarter is, at least to me now in crowdfunding right now, it's kind of stops at $100. I think that's the max that I want to go in on just like a crowdfunded box. Even then, I think I'd be a little bit more reticent to do that. But I think that's really where I'm thinking, like, these are the games that probably need a little bit of help and might be worth my while. Other games, I can talk about, like, I backed White Death. I'm like kicking myself. I'm like, I should have just waited to see a 401 gun. I think I need to do more $1 pledges and look more strategically at certain things coming to retail, try to plan for late pledge online, because, hey, things are getting more expensive. $50 in my pocket is another game. $50 in my pocket is like 2 expansions for Marvel Champions that I just don't have to pay to some guy to schlep it to my house.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Get a head of lettuce, you're one
head of lettuce now.
You're good.
I I agree with Emery. I think we're seeing probably a readjustment, and that's going to hurt a lot of the crowdfunded sites. Now, the big Kickstarter exclusive only games, I do think I'll still get some of those, but the only reason I say that is because I love Awakened Realms. And they're like pretty much Kickstarter exclusive. So if you don't go to Kickstarter, you don't get the Awakened Realms game or Gamefound.
Gamefound,
because they've got Stalker out there, which looks cool, which would be a game that we could talk about. But the one thing I say is I know I will never play it because the theme just doesn't do it for me. And there's way too much stuff back here to get another Awakened Realms cooperative box on my shelf.
Well, that's another thing. That's another thing too here is that we are now at the point in our hobby that I take a look at a game like that looks really cool. It ain't getting played.
Yeah.
Kind of learned our lesson that way because we have like this room here where it's like our main gaming room with the big table and the walls of stuff. But then we've taken all of our campaign games, like all the Awakened Realm stuff and anything like that. And it's in a totally different room now with a different table. So like, and we have a wall full, like similar to what's behind me right here, but it's all Awakened Realm and various things like that. And that's a different room now. So like, we're definitely having to like really think about what we're doing with what we back and when. And so, yeah.
It might be time to start culling. Some of those games have gone up in value.
A lot of them are still in the shrink.
Sometimes you sell that game and you make more than what you paid for it, and then you can get 4 games. But that causes another problem. But then you need to have. We're selling our games for too much money. I mean, my buddy just let go of Assassin's Creed, and it went down based on what it used to be. I know someone offered me. I paid $350 Canadian for it. Someone offered me $700 Canadian for it.
Wow,
that's the one I just bought. Can you take a look? I just bought an Assassin's Creed game the other day. Hold on a second here. I forget what it's called.
Brotherhood of Venice.
Brotherhood.
Retail box.
I don't know if it's retail or not. I got it off a buddy here.
Is it black or is it white?
White.
It's white.
So that is the retail box without the miniatures. So the miniature box originally went with a lot of cool exclusives for about the whole thing all in was $350. And then immediately, like after when they were starting to sell the extras, they were selling just the core box for $350. So you got a ton of value. So if you have everything, people are right now it's sitting in the $500 to $600 range to get everything.
Wow,
is that right?
And we paid less than it. So if you got Awakened Realm stuff still in shrink, it goes for quite a bit. I mean, I had someone buy my Etherfields for more than what I paid for it before it even arrived.
Robin and Marie got a really good deal in Etherfield.
Yeah, we have it. It's in that room. It's all still in shrink, by the way. Yeah.
Well, I had someone that took it off me for $200 to $300 more than what I paid for it, and I had the rest of the pledge shipped to them. So I had mine unboxed, unplayed, not in shrink. I shipped it to them, and then I had Awakened Realm ship the rest to them.
I'm very excited to play that.
Me
one,
too.
though, by the way.
It's high on our list, but.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. No. We have Kickstarters arriving every week right now. Like all the stuff we backed in 2020 and 2021, like a lot of them, I should say, are all starting to come through the door all at the same time here. It's crazy.
I think that's another thing. Like how many games do you have like in transit or some shape or
so many
produced or in transit? It's at the point that like, can we necessarily really continue with a certain level of game?
The pandemic, we backed so many things I forget about. Stuff just shows up and it's like, oh man, I forgot all about this game. I don't even remember what it's about, but I guess I got the playmat too, because here's another roll right beside it. Oh my goodness. And it's just, it's funny. The pandemic was a thing, right? It was just a strange time to be alive. And we went on a backing crazy train. And, but
I've got Freedom 5 coming hopefully soon. Like I got so many cool things I'm excited about, and I'm looking around here. I'm like, I'm running out of room. Also, Madara is finally getting ready to ship waves 2 and 3. I don't know when I'm ever going to play it because apparently the game is supposed to be like 200 to 300 hours. It is the equivalent of playing multiple Final Fantasy games on the tabletop.
Wow,
man.
Wow.
Funny enough, you bring that up because my Facebook feed always has Madara on it for some odd reason.
Some odd reason.
Some odd reason.
I may have clicked it once, and now I just get it all the time.
Or your computer's listening to these episodes and hearing Madara and giving you ads.
Absolutely. It happens every single time. Yeah. If I yell at my kids one time for like being like whatever and everything, it will just be a couple hours later. Do you need a parenting book? What?
It's like, here's the best boarding school. Yes, it's okay to beat your child.
Top 10 boarding schools near you. Yeah.
Yeah, all the bad stuff that comes out, those awful, awful ads. You're like, no, I'm really not like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we finally got to the end of the conversation. But actually, Ryan, you didn't share your thoughts. Like, where are you at with your backing?
Oh, sorry. I have slowed down.
You talked about the retail, but we didn't get like the consensus as to.
Sorry. Yeah, and I know I rattled off. I think 4 campaigns that I backed since our last conversation, everything like that. But really, I am not backing big, huge Kickstarters anymore. I wait till retail, and if it comes in, I'll pay attention to it. But at the same time, I'm not buying these big, huge games anymore. Like, I'm finally just starting to play through ISS Vanguard because
I just got word that ours is shipping.
Wow. Because I got a group of guys from work together now that they are all interested in it. So we're playing it once every couple of weeks. And so it's finally getting played. And I think I'm going to have a good chance of actually playing through the whole thing.
Nice.
Awesome.
I see Descent on there. I need to finish Descent. The new Descent box is coming, and that is definitely a must buy because I love that game.
It's Descent. Yes, I know. So I'm in the same boat. I need to play that too. And yeah, so my backing way down. And if it's well-known companies like AEG, Daily Magic Games, and expansions. I've been purchasing expansions mostly than brand new games.
I'm in the same boat. I'm looking at expansions or filling out games that have been improved. I don't know. This was probably technically from last year, but I did back all in on what I was missing from Batman Gotham City Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they finally got the cooperative mode for everything and all the Bat characters, I was like, as much as I won't have the room for this, I'm like, I know for a fact that this game is going to be so much fun when I get the chance to play it.
Definitely.
I still haven't played Nemesis. The new Nemesis box is sitting there, locked down. Haven't touched it yet.
That's a shame.
That's the other thing. I've got the youngest kid out of all of you right now, so I'm kind of in that boat where I can't even be like, it's 7:00, like sit in your bed and go to sleep by yourself. It's still like, I got to be there and be on point.
Yep.
But then I'm still at the boat where Regan, like over top of my shoulder right here, we just played 2 games of Marvel United today again, because it's his favorite game. We have to play it like all the time. And he's just started getting back into it again. He's like, we haven't played Marvel United in a while. Let's play it tonight. And I'm like, okay, sure.
I'm just looking forward to hopefully he gets into games, and maybe he'll like HeroQuest, because I think I'll have a lot more fun with it if he's having a great time with it, because man, that game is too easy.
Oh, that's Marvel United. Like I just get the joy out of that game is because he feels like he's been very clever. He's like, I've got the winning combo right now. Just get through your turn, Dad. I can win the game for us.
That's
awesome.
so good.
So I was like, that's the moment that you know you've won at games.
Yeah.
Well, I got to take the little guy out he wanted to go biking with me for the first time. He's got a bike and he's like, no, he doesn't want to go biking with Mommy. Doesn't want to go biking with anyone else. His first bike ride with someone else had to be with Daddy. So it's nice.
Awesome.
I just got to get him on the games. He's still a little too young for those. But we do play Rhino Hero. But he likes to build
So
a tower
good.
and then kick it down, though, because he's part kaiju, I swear. Shouldn't be confusing with Cthulhu so young. Those city-destroying tendencies have passed through the plastic to him at a very young age.
Oh no, my youngest likes to sit and talk to Galactus.
Nice.
Nice.
Sits and talks to him like he's like, well, they're pretty much almost the same size.
Yeah.
All right, well, that is another episode of Kickstarter Excess or Value. It's a really long one, but I think it's a really good one. It's been a couple months, and
Yeah,
we've run long. And actually, in terms of where I thought we would end up, we're probably running about 20 minutes longer than I thought we would actually get to. So, good episode. Thank you very much for joining me again, and I will let our great host tell you once again where they can be found on the interwebs, not the dark webs. I don't think anybody's frequent that yet.
No.
But actually, as a content creator, you can probably make more money on the dark web than the interwebs. What you got to do, I don't know. I don't want to know. But you'll get paid, son.
Yeah, again, it's been Rob and
Anna Marie
from the Meeple Dungeon out here in Kelowna, BC. We are on Twitter a lot, and that's at Meeple Dungeon. We do some unboxings and stuff on YouTube. There's quite a few on there lately, actually. Check that out, the Meeple Dungeon. And our podcast that it's usually every 7 to 10 days or so where we do reviews and whatnot. So, and you can find the Meeple Dungeon podcast on all the major podcasting sites.
And I'm Ryan, Mista Rau Gaming, and you can find my OnlyFans page. I mean,
Ooh.
nope, you can only find me on YouTube. That's the only place you're going to find me, usually on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Right now, it's only Tuesday nights. I'm doing playthroughs. They're usually solo. Sometimes they're with friends. And yeah, you're just going to see me playing lots of games, talking to my audience, and just having a good old time. So over on YouTube land. Nowhere else. Well, sorry, Twitter. I'm on there. I have an Instagram page, but I don't use it.
The funny interesting fact is that OnlyFans was originally not supposed to go to the direction that it was supposed to go. It's supposed to be a competitor to YouTube where people could subscribe to you and give you money and be private. But lo and behold, it went the most obvious direction possible.
It's the internet. Of course, it was the only logical way it was going to go.
But it's kind of amazing when people are like, "It's not going to go that way."
Oh yes, it is.
Wait, you're paying people to be private. Right there.
Just the way things work out in them. I'm Jason from Dice and Dragons, in case you didn't know, and thank you for joining us on Kickstarter Excess or Value. We will be looking to do this, as we said, more often. We're going to have some more campaigns, some more stuff to talk about. We will try to dive into this whole Monster Hunter world and the exclusivity deal. I'm really curious about that, but I'm sure that contract is somewhere behind a lock and key. Unfortunately, I don't know how to get that contract, because that would be an interesting read.
Mm-hmm.
And we just like to thank everyone for joining us, and to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when our next video is released. Down below in the video description, you can find links to all of our social media feeds. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever we are, you can find all three of us on those sites. Well, there's 4 of us here, but 3 channels. Just want to be clear. So make sure to check those out. And then popping up on the screen will be links to some of our previously released videos. One will take you back to the full Kickstarter Excess or Value playlist. The other one is going to take you back to the first part of this conversation, even though it was months ago, our State of Crowdfunding Part 1. And on that note, we're going to remind everyone to keep playing games.